Jeff Bezos is worth an estimated $137 billion, the majority of it in Amazon stock. Washington State is a 50-50 state, which means the soon-to-be ex-wife would be entitled to about half of that. But divorce experts say a split like that seems unlikely.
A personal tweet rocking the most valuable company in the world. We have decided to divorce and continue our shared life as friends. Jeff Bezos and his wife Mackenzie announcing their split after 25 years. The divorce potentially having an impact on who controls Amazon and netting Mackenzie Bezos billions of dollars. Experts say multiple scenarios are in play. The stock could be split 50-50, making her an equal shareholder in the company. The stock could be transferred into a single entity over which they would have joint control. A trust could be created where Mackenzie and the children have ownership but not control. Or the nuclear scenario, a cash payout that forces a stock sell-off, potentially putting Mr. Bezos' control of Amazon in jeopardy.
I don't think she gets 65 billion. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20 billion. And it'll probably be over a long period of time, so it doesn't affect his control of Amazon.
Regardless of the financial split, the divorce has many wondering, who is Mackenzie Bezos?
Even before she could say, "What's the internet?" she said, "Great, let's go."
Aside from her unwavering support and initial role in Amazon's beginnings, Mackenzie has mostly avoided the spotlight, instead focusing on her passion for writing and raising their 4 kids. Mackenzie has written 2 well-received novels.
One of the fun aspects of writing fiction is the research, because it's so different from the rest of the work you do as a writer, which is so solitary.
The couple promising an amicable divorce. Though the labels might be different, we remain a family and we remain cherished friends. But with reports of Mr. Bezos' new relationship with former news anchor Lauren Sanchez and billions of dollars and control of Amazon at stake, only time will tell.
So a lot of people may be concerned about Amazon as a business and what might happen to it. What do the experts say? Is this really something in play?
Yeah, well, most experts we spoke to think Amazon is too big and too unique, they say, in what they do for a stock to take a significant hit. The only worry is the potential cash payout, they say. Even then, they only expect a short dip. Amazon only released a statement so far, and they say Jeff remains focused and engaged on all aspects of Amazon.